Thank you for having me today. I appreciate that.
We appreciate your time as well. So, Johnny, let's get started. We have prepared a few questions about blurred images.
Hmm.
Is your new album? We'd like to know because we couldn't find this information. Well, this album was made up of is made up of songs released as individual singles. So we'd like to know how long did it took to put it all together? Who was the producer? Where
Oh,
was it?
okay. Any any more questions?
No, this is just sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. So, yes, we started this process of writing about the story that eventually became Blurred Images with the song Farewell. At that time, it was when I spoke to the band and I told them, I believe I have the concept and I'm going to start writing a few songs about it. And we slowly released those as singles every 2 months, two or three, whatever. And I think that it was right when I wrote the song Another Crash that I knew this was going to be a great concept album. So I hope it is. It is to me. Um, I wrote it about a part of my life that I didn't even know was guiding me. 1992 to 1996. There were some issues and some, I won't say issues, there was something inside of me that I was trying to say goodbye to. But at the same time, I realized I never admitted it was there and still guiding my life. So that was a long story, but it's all on Blurred Images. The title, Blurred Images. I looked at it as if I was looking back in an old photo album. Like 30 years later, I'm going through a photo album and I'm remembering that. So that was the approach that I took. And I produced the record with all the guys in the band lending their support and playing on it. And then we mixed it in Nashville, remixed just about all of the singles. And that's what you hear on Blurred Images.
Okay, great. So we had a little doubt here because you have been like in the musical scene for so long. Was it recorded like digitally, like with Pro Tools, or was it like
Yes,
this
Pro Tools,
Pro Tools?
Pro
Okay,
Tools.
great. So you told us there's a story behind these
Yeah,
songs. Would you like
yeah.
to talk a little bit more about that story? Like
I
some
won't get,
important
I
detail,
won't get, say again, say again.
like some important detail that you would like to share with us?
Okay, first of all, I'll say again, the years 1992 and 1996. Um, it is not a love story, but it is a story about a great love that, in looking back at those memories or those pictures, I understand, and I knew it at the time, but I understand now that it was my greatest hope. It gave my life such great hope for what was to come. But the entire time, there was hopelessness inside this short period of my life. I think it affected every relationship that I've been in since 1996. Uh, I don't know that I've helped myself by writing about it, but I know that we captured the emotion of those days on this album. And I made a mistake earlier. It wasn't when I wrote Another Crash that I knew we had the album. It was when I wrote about one single night in those years. One night that lasted maybe 10 hours, and the song was Into Our Escape. That is literally about one single night. And that was when I knew I had a great concept.
Great.
Sorry. I love another crash, but I made a mistake.
It's okay. It's beautiful. I think a lot of fans can relate to that you just said. Just one single night, like removing so many things. So that leads to our next question. What is your creative process like? Do you hear the melody or is it the lyrics first? Tell us a little bit about it.
Probably any songwriter that you've ever asked has a different answer on this, or maybe they'll give you the general answer of, you never know what's going to come first. I'll say that in the course of my career writing songs, I don't know whether it's a song until I see the story. Now, that doesn't mean I have to have the melody, but if I have the story, like let's go back to Into Our Escape, I knew I was going to write about that night because I remember a candle burning on a nightstand, and that's what my mind remembers. And then all of the things that encompassed that evening. I knew I had a song. I didn't have the music written for the song. In fact, the music track was sent to me and I had the story, but I didn't have the music. And then Mark Valderas sent me some music and the words fit perfectly with it. So it's a song. So you never know what's going to happen, but I know I don't have a song until I read the story.
Okay, great. Okay, so now we're gonna get a little bit technical here because a lot of our viewers are musicians themselves and they are interested in these sorts of things like what kind of equipment do you like to use, guitars, amplifiers, sound effects? Could you talk to us a bit?
Yeah, sure. Now I'll first speak about my own equipment. I use Taylor, I think 3300 model acoustic guitar.
Okay.
I also have a Breedlove guitar that was made for Bono of U2 that I managed to get years ago. So I record with that one. I did not, oh no, I played a little bit of electric guitar on this album, very little, but I used my Fender Strat, a 1988 Fender Strat for that. The bass that I played on the album is played on a Schecter fretless bass and a Schecter California custom bass. Those are my basses. I love them both so much. In fact, you can hear those on many other albums. And Mark Valderas, who had a huge impact on this album, for this record, he reverted back to vintage, old vintage keyboard sounds like Moog synthesizers, Wurlitzers, Mellotrons, things like that. That was really important for him. As we discussed, we want this album to sound like it could have been recorded in the 1970s. So Mark used that. Steve Fuchsen plays mostly Fender basses on his parts. He did use the Schecter bass, my fretless, on one of the songs. I can't remember which one. Timmy Grove, he has been, for the most part, a Les Paul player. That's what Tim likes to play, a Les Paul. He has many guitars. He probably used some others, but basically that's it. Michael Saravola. Oh, let me get first to the drummer. I don't know the drums that Greg Hollister uses. I'm so sorry, Greg. I apologize. Michael Saravola, who joined us on this album, an original member of Human Drama, He played on 2 songs with us, and he used his Schecter Corsairs to play on this, a vintage Schecter Corsair. I believe he used that on both songs. I used for this album exclusively a Blue microphone, BLUE microphone that I really loved, you know. Well, let me see. I think that's all the gear stuff. We are sure that when we mix the album, that we are mixing it with Mark Lonsway in Nashville on a ton of old vintage gear where everything is run through tubes. So we go back to the old tube preamps and compressors and mic pre's and et cetera, and good old digital and tape delays. We use all of that to do it. But as I said in an interview the other day, I don't know if there's a Grammy Award for the Latin Grammy for editing, but I think I should win it for this album.
Okay.
I spent the entire pandemic editing this album. So, and by the way, I'm not just talking about editing other people's parts. I edit the vocal a lot too. So
okay. That sounds like a lot of work.
A lot of work. The busiest I've ever been on an album. Yeah. So I made that joke the other night because I just think it's funny. My greatest work is not writing the songs or singing it. It's editing this album.
Yeah, that's a huge workload. So yes, if there was a Grammy.
And if you notice, I don't know any other musicians listening out there, whoever does the editing in Pro Tools for the bands they work with, no one ever calls you and tells you thank you. They never call you and tell you thank you.
True. So true.
They just say, wow, I did a great job. You know, I did a great job. Yeah, the bass. Yeah, I know it sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know I'm being a little bit of a dickhead. I'm sorry. I thought that was funny. I thought it was fun.
It's okay. Our audience loves that kind of stuff. So that takes me to our next question, which is the musical arrangements. Do you create them all, or each musician has like the liberty to do collaborations in this sense?
No, I arranged all these songs. The collaboration came when Mark Balderas threw me a music part. Then I would work with the lyrics and I would modify it and turn it into a really, where it all made sense. Like I would extend the verse, or I would use this part for the chorus. Then I would send it back to Mark. He would go, fantastic. Then he would track it that way. Same thing with, we did that with 2 songs, Farewell and 3, Farewell, Into Our Escape, and February 10th. So I would arrange it sometimes even after we had recorded them. I would realize that, you know, we could remove this or we could extend that.
Okay, so you're involved like in the process, like from the beginning to the end.
Always, forever. Since the world inside, I have been.
Great to know. So we were listening to the songs and we hear this female voice in some of the songs, most of them. We were curious, who is she? Because your voices
Thank you.
Beautifully together. So
thank you for asking. Her name is Pinky Turzo, Pinkyturzo, Pinky Turzo. She added a color to this record that makes it so much better than it would have been without her. Pinky is a longtime friend of mine, a beautiful person, wonderful voice, as you hear on the album. And because of the subject matter of this album, where it is about a relationship, I needed to tell both sides of the story. So on Sometimes or on Another Crash, it could not simply be a male's voice. It had to have the woman saying these words, even maybe if I said it with her or not, but it had to have the woman saying it. And Pinky, she just blew us away on this album. She knocked it out, just knocked it out. Beautiful girl, beautiful singer, and all the boys in the band love Pinky.
Yeah, we also think it's lovely the way you two sound together.
Thank you. In fact, there's two times on the album where the first time I heard it, I actually kind of felt like I might just cry. There are a couple of times. One in particular is on Another Crash on verse 3, when she says the line, "There's been another crash," you know, I can't remember who to call. Ah, fuck, just kills me. Oh, I'm sorry. I cursed on the radio. Yeah, that was one of those lines where killed me. Just great. Gave me the chills.
We think it's beautiful. We love that song.
Thank you.
So another thing that we found like awesome is the guitar solos in the songs. Did you play them or was it?
No. Tim Grove. Timmy Grove played those. And we spoke about this when we started to record the album. I remember saying, "Tim, I need you to shine on this album. We're going to give you a lot of room. And I want every solo that you do to be as memorable as Comfortably Numb, David Gilmour on Comfortably Numb, Mark Knopfler on The Sultans' Swing, Jimmy Page on Stairway to Heaven. Every solo, I need you to make the people, the beautiful people that listen to our albums, remember that solo, and they'll sing it tomorrow." And he really did that. Yeah.
Yeah, it did work exactly like that. That's what we thought. So
yeah.
So we were thinking, should we ask about the influences? But we already know because we heard them. So, but is there any other influence that you would like to mention?
The recording sound of the 1970s. Okay. That was a huge influence on the overall sound on this album. When I was doing a bass part, I did one. I don't know how many I did. Steve did most of them, but the person that we spoke about was, and if you listen to Into Our Escape, if you listen and turn up the bass, you'll hear a line that sounds like somebody might have been listening to Jaco Pastorius. That is what I went for. I did my vision of what Jaco Pastorius' style might be on this song, from listening to him play on Joni Mitchell albums or Weather Report albums. So we would use references like I spoke about the lead guitar, also on the bass. So there's a fretless bass being played on Into Our Escape. And I said, let me listen to some records and see what Jaco Pastorius might do. So I'm sure a lot of bass players are going to get really mad at me right now. Let me just say, I did my best. Steve did his best on the songs because he's a big Jaco Pastorius fan. And we did our version of that type of bass mentality.
Okay, great. So would you say these 1970s influences and all of this is what distinguishes this album from the rest? Because you've said in other interviews that you never make the same album twice, obviously in terms of these things. So this is what makes the difference in your images. Great.
Big part of it. Also, what I mean by when I say I'm never going to make the same album twice is I consciously don't get lazy. After The World Inside, we were known as the band that has put pop music and strings, classical strings together. And that was great. But I never thought about doing that for the next album, Songs of Betrayal or Pinups, which is very guitar oriented, you know? So we found the five guys sitting around in a room. We knew what they would be playing this time, and it's very different than the very acoustic and Hammond organ sound of Broken Songs for Broken People. Very different.
Right, very noticeable. There's difference then. Um, yeah. Okay. So we were thinking here, because we are music lovers, that this album deserves to be released like in vinyl records. Is there plans to do that? So
yes.
Okay.
We were recently told by the record label,
Okay.
Sunset Boulevard Records, that they were going to commit to doing a vinyl release. So, you know, it takes a few months to get vinyl done. So we'll hopefully have something new to celebrate this winter.
Of course, well, we think that's great. So how are we gonna like be able to get our hands in it? Do we order it, pre-order online, or?
Yeah, I don't think that there'll be a pre-order up until probably 30 days before it's out. But yes, we will notify everybody. We redid the artwork for it, so it looks different. But it'll only have the 10 songs on it. It will not have the bonus. The bonus album will not be a part of this. That's only for the CD.
Okay, well,
yeah,
still great, great release. So the art, you mentioned the art. How was it? The concept was your idea, or is there an artist you work with, or?
No, I did that. I did it because I knew it needed to subtly be a photo album. So I put the pictures, I got the pictures that most told the story of those days, and I put them into a photo album, and then I photographed them.
Okay, you
and so that's it. And we are about to release a new lyric video for the song Farewell, and it incorporates those photos. And the first pressing of the CD does not have a booklet, which was a mistake. So we offer the digital booklet online on our website. So that shows a lot of the photos from New York of those days.
Okay, so your own photos of them.
Photos, they're not mine, but they're the best photos that I could find that reminded me of a time in New York.
Okay, great. Yeah. Do you have any plans, of course, when it becomes possible, of coming here to Mexico to make a presentation?
We just rescheduled our postponed concert from 2 years ago, the Trilogy concert, which will be at Plaza Condesa. That has been rescheduled, fingers crossed, for June 25th of next year.
Okay.
So we have a year. I'll be almost exactly 1 year older by then.
Right.
Should our countries open up, though, should they open up this year to where we can have full attendance at a concert venue, we would consider doing some shows of blurred images. We would consider it.
Okay, that's great to know. We all hope it happens. Yeah. So to close this, we have a little question about the documentary. I watched it. I loved it. I thought it was so like intimate, so heartwarming. I love it. About your friendship with Salvador from La Castañeda. Salvador Moreno. Would like to know.
Yeah.
He's like a friend of this show and my partner here.
Yeah.
We'd like to know, how did you two knew each other, or was it through your
It took us a long time to meet,
Okay.
but once we met, it was as if we've known each other as artists our whole life. Because if you look at his career and you look at my career with human drama and solo and everything, you can see that we're always trying something different. We're never mainstream commercial, but we've made more albums than any other mainstream artist, instead
That's
unless
right.
Bob Dylan, or so we have a lot to talk about keeping a career going truly based on passion for what you do. That is the biggest thing we have in common. So when the documentary was being filmed, one of the few people that I met and spoke with that week was Salvador, because no one knew that I was coming to town, including him. And then he asked Leonardo Trevino, who was also in the documentary, why is Johnny here? And then they put us together in a park. And I used to know where the park was, but I've forgotten. Oh, I forgot. And then he said, what's going on? And I was able to tell him exactly how I was feeling. And he's the only person, I think, maybe I spoke a little bit to Leonardo about it, but I was able to tell Salvador why I was about to quit music and why I suddenly hated doing music. Because he could relate to everything in his 25, 30 years that I had been through in my 25 or 30 years. So that's our kinship, we say in English, right? Kinship, our what we have in common as men. And I have the utmost respect for Salvador. He's one of the nicest men I've met, and truly respect him as an artist.
Okay, it's a great story. So, well, to wrap this up, is there anything else you would like to say to your fans?
I'm very proud. The band is very proud also of our newest album, Blurred Images. We really feel, I'm starting to feel like after we're done and after we're finished, that this will be an album that is rated amongst our best albums. I hope that all of our listeners feel the same way. Whether you like it or not, I appreciate everybody who listens to our albums, because those are very special moments in our lives when we put on a piece of music and listen to it. Because at that moment, we don't know if this is the last time we'll listen to it, or if it will be the album we listen to before we die. And that's an exciting moment. Am I gonna, like here, I'll pull this one out right now, This album, right? It's been with me since my childhood. It stays with me. This album here, it's been with me since I was a teenager, and it'll stay with me until the day I die. So we hope you'll give our album a chance. We hope that you like it, and I thank you in advance, everyone, for listening to it.